Hi, this is Dr. Pillow, and I want to show you how to use a program called Amos, which is used for structural equation modeling, which sounds like a lot, but structural equation modeling is just a combination of factor analysis and regression, and you should have already learned a little bit about factor analysis, hopefully, when you took measurement. And here I want to show you where some of what we're going to learn in regression is going to take us moving forward. So in this video, I just want to show you how to access and set up on Amos. So go to my UTSA, go over to my apps, log on. Once we send me a push. When you get past the push, right over here, go to Student General. What My Apps does is to give you a virtual laptop, and there's various programs that are available on the university site on this virtual desktop that are of interest, and they include things like SPSS, Amos, plus a number of other things. So we're looking for Amos. So go over here, IBM, Amos, and then go to Amos Graphics. This is using structural equation modeling by pictures. It's a nice way of doing it. It's not the simplest way for everything, but when the models get really complex, it's better to do it in code. But it's a nice introduction. It's nice to be able to see how the code and the pictures relate to one another. So this is Amos. For Amos, I need a data set. Now, to get a data set, I have one over here on my desktop, but I need to get it in there. So I'm going to click on, see this little button right over here? In, or I should say out, in, out, in, out. Go over here. Open File Transfer Panel. This is going to allow you to move a data set to your virtual desktop. So upload, choose files, and here it's actually coming up within the subdirectory where I have it. This is the wood data with labels. And it should be in there now. And so now, let's figure out how to use Amos. So, to use Amos, we're going to first need to reference a data set. This icon right here represents selecting a data set to reference. So you click that, you go to File Name, go to Documents, and Documents is where that upload automatically sticks files. It's where you're going to find it for downloading back to your desktop once you're finished with your work. Hit OK. Okay, so now there's a file being referenced. Since there's a file being referenced, when I click on this icon here, it's going to list the variables in the data set. And here they are. They're listed by their name and also has the labels there so that you can see what the items are. And this is an authenticity scale where people were simply rating, do they feel like it's better to be themselves than to be popular? I don't know how I really feel inside. That's self-alienation. I am strongly influenced by the opinions of others. I usually do what other people tell me. Those are both accepting external influences. Our lab always refers to those as rejecting external influences because we flip those. And if you flip the responses, it's indicating the negative, which is rejecting external influences. The R variables in here refer to those variables having been flipped. But I'm not going to mess with that right now. That comes up in some other videos later on. But all of these combined give you an authenticity scale, and there's 3 subscales within this 12-item scale. Each of them is 4 items each, and those are authentic living, such as I am true to myself in most situations, rejecting external influences, the opposite of I always feel I need to do what others expect me to do, and self-alienation, such as I feel alienated from myself. So that's where our variables are. So you know how to, this one for your data set, this one to locate your variables. Let's draw something. We're going to draw a box to represent a measured variable. Boxes represent measured variables. And I'm just going to do 2 of those. And curved double-headed arrows are for covariances or correlations. So right there, that's a really simple analysis to ask it to do in pictures. It's asking us to do a correlation. Let's do 2 variables, such as I'm strongly influenced by the opinions of others, and I always feel I need to do what others expect me to do. Okay. If you click on these, we can get rid of the labels. And then it defaults to the letters and keeps it easier. Or you can write a simpler label, like others expect. You know, if you're really doing this, that's kind of what you would do. Others expect. Double click. I'm double left clicking. And item 3 is influenced by opinions of others. So that keeps it nice and neat. Now I'm going to do something that I'm going to regret. I already know that I'm going to regret it, but I want to go ahead and show you. This is our 4th icon to hit. Data set, listing of the variables, drawing our variables, and then this one runs the analysis. And when you click on that, it says, I can't run the analysis because I don't know where to write to. Okay, in order to solve that problem, we have to save the what we're doing. So go ahead and write File, Save, and then on the desktop of this PC, go ahead and put how about trying Amos? Trying out Amos. Okay. Once it has a name, we should be able to run the analysis, and it runs. And it gives me a number here of 1.66 and numbers here of 2.98 and 3.27. These are the variances of the variable, and this is the covariance. But I was just looking for the correlation, which is a standardized covariance, as you'll learn in this class. Here are the standardized estimates, but when I click on standardized estimate, it doesn't give me anything. Well, why is that? That's troublesome. Well, that's because I didn't specify standardized estimates as output. So let's go back and try this again. You notice that there's two windows over here. This is for on the left, right here, where I'm pointing on the left. This is where we set up our model. And then once the model has been ran, this is where we look for the results. So results, model to run. Results, model to run. I'm going back to the model to run anytime I have to do reparations to get what I want out of Amos. So let's see right here, analysis properties. Yes, analysis properties includes not only instructions on how to do the analysis, but the output. And under the output, there's lots of things that you can ask for. The one that I'm immediately interested in is the standardized estimates. So I'm just going to click on standardized estimates. And now I'm going to rerun. So this is the analysis properties, how you set it, how you're setting up your abacus. And here's the abacus for calculating the estimates. And now it gives me the same thing that I had before, but when I click on standardized estimates, my variances are now 1 because any variance standardized is 1, and my correlation is 0.53. So now I have a simple correlation between two variables. Let's go back over to this box. Let's put in a couple of more boxes and add in a couple more variables. How about I am true to myself in most situations? I live in accordance with my values and beliefs. And we just pull them over. Double left click, true to self. Double left click, live values, or totally erase it and just have the numbers. And now use this double-sided arrow. And I'm going from this variable to this one, this one to this one, this one to this one. And now this one to this one, that's already done. This one to this one. And last, this one to this one. 4 variables should give me 6 correlations. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double-headed curved arrows. So that should give me the correlation matrix between this. There's lots of easier ways to get the correlation matrix, but this program does a lot of things that those easier programs won't do. So now we say calculate estimates, and here's the correlations. Right there. Some of those correlations are sizable, the 0.66 and the 0.53, and the other ones are pretty small. So the correlations between true to self and living values, those are both on the same scale. Those correlated well together. Influenced by opinions and what others expect, those are on the same scale. Those correlated well together. But the 2 subscales didn't correlate all that nicely together. So there's that. That's just running simple correlations in Amos. How to get to Amos, how to run simple correlations. Want to make things pretty? Go back to how you set things up. Here's a little truck. The truck allows you to move objects around. In this case, it was already pretty, so it's actually making things a little uglier, but separates it out. So you can move objects around is another command. So if I want to get rid of some stuff, use the X and it gets rid of some variables. If I want to, let's see, move this around here, move this around here. Let's run a basic regression model, very basic regression model. We're going to need another box. And I'm going to use these two variables on the left to predict something on the right. And I'm going to sub out these variables. I'm going to use the subscales of authentic living being predicted by rejecting external influences and self-alienation. And so I just sub them out by pulling a new variable in there, it just subs it out. This is your most basic regression model, but this is not going to run. It shouldn't run, but let's go ahead and try it. Oh, it says that I have a problem here. It says I can proceed with the analysis, and it gives me an error. Yeah, it's not surprising. So in regression, we can't perfectly predict, in psychology anyway, our outcomes. Regression is used for predicting with error, and that error has to be represented. So this little button over here, take it and click on our dependent variable, authentic living, and then it gives me a little circle. I'm going to go ahead and change this over, get my hand to go over to this, and then I'm going to double left click on it, and it's demanding that I give this a variable name. And it's not a real variable. I mean, it's nothing in my data set, but it has to be designated as a variable of sorts to represent where the error is. And so I'm going to call this D1. Sometimes a lot of people will call it E, and in various cases I will call it E. But in regression, I like to call these D1, D for disturbance term. And this is your simplest regression model. It'll take us a little while in the course to get here. It'll be the second section of the course when we get to our most basic regression model. But this is the basic regression model that has a correlation between two predictors and the paths estimating the dependent variable with error. And so let's go ahead and run that. And there we go. And we have a correlation between these of 0.48. And these correlations, these predictive paths are pretty small. Now you can't tell whether or not they're significant. Let's show you this one more thing from Amos, and that is this box. This box is to view the output. So I click on that, and sometimes you have to go looking for your output, but here it came up, and it shows me my output, and it shows me that those effects were not significant. These P's these are P values right here. And those P's were for the unstandardized estimates, and they're not significant. Here are the standardized estimates that you actually saw on the graph, 0.098 and 0.042. Here's the correlation between the two variables right here, and it shows that that is significant. That's the 3 stars. Shows that there's significant variance to be had. It shows that our model fit perfectly. This is a large topic to be had, but it had to fit perfectly. Uh, uh, and why it has to fit perfectly at this stage, it's a little too early to get into that, so we're not going to mess with it. But later on, we'll talk about why it had to fit perfectly and make sense of that. So it's a variable that fit perfectly, and yet it didn't predict anything significantly at all. I'm going to leave you with that quandary, and later on in the course, we'll get over to that, and we'll talk about why that actually can very well make sense. If you, I usually will save output, like I'll, use a screen capture to or maybe do something like that, and copy. It's going very slow on me here, so, or to use the snipping tool to capture information, stick it in Word, and then save my Word out onto that virtual desktop. My virtual desktop went away. There it is. And back into it. Well, sort of. There. It's having to reload. Went out. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. There. Minimize those things. And then you can see your virtual desktop, and like here's something that I saved out. So now you can go and you can click on this and transfer files, download. Where'd it go? Let's see. Control C. There we go. And now it's downloading. And then over here, there it is. Pick it up. And now you can put it where you want. So that's the basics on how to use Amos. This is not required for this course. This is going above and beyond and extra, but it's really valuable stuff. I hope you enjoy, and we'll talk to you later.